In this video, we are going to explore the use of frame marks within ZebraCut. Frame marks are particularly useful if you are manually framing your material through your machine. In this example, I have a number of parts which I wish to cut. They are all longer than my machine, which is here in orange. And if I run a preview in ZebraCut, you can see I get a number of different frames, and the distance between each frame is different. That makes it a challenge to manually frame my material through the machine, because I'm moving a different amount of material every time. To address this, I'm going to add frame marks. To do that, I'm going to go to Job Configuration, and I'm going to select Frame Marks from the list and add frame marks as a piece of configuration for our jobs. Within frame marks, I'm going to turn them on by choosing to draw them, and then I'm going to run this job. In doing so, I will now be presented with a choice of which tool I wish to apply to my frame marks. There's nothing to stop you from cutting them with a knife, laser, marking them, cutting them, or routing them if you wish to. You can use any tool that you wish to mark your frame marks. But I'm going to use a pen in this case, and I'm going to assign that to the frame marks layer. Frame marks will be calculated every time your framing is recalculated, and so you can see now I have these arrows here which are on the line of frame 2. So it will now pen mark the start of every single frame using these arrows here. Now we give you quite a number of options for controlling these frame marks. Let us explore those now. So under frame marks, we have a number of options. Probably the most important one is the offset in the X direction. Now this is 0, so that it shows you exactly where your frame mark is, but it's often quite useful to set this to a larger number. So if I set this to 100 mil and preview that, you'll see my frame mark is now 100 mil ahead of where my frame starts. And that's really helpful, because what it allows us to do is to line up that frame mark with a reference mark on the machine. So that might, for example, be the edge of the machine bed, and you could line that up all the way across the front of your machine. Other options we have, we can choose whether or not we're marking center outwards. Now we would normally do this to avoid rucking the material. But of course you can choose just to do a single motion from Y0 to Y max as such. So we now do one motion for every frame mark, or two where we have a part in the way. You can see here we have two separate frame marks because we have a part in the middle. We can also control how close our frame marks come to our parts. So in this case we have a 5 mil offset, but we might want that to be a much larger offset to avoid any possible contact. And you can see we now have a 50 mil offset between our parts and the framing marks. We can also control the minimum and maximum Y to which our frame marks are drawn. This is exceedingly useful if you are cutting on a roll of material and your roll of material is only a certain width, perhaps not as wide as your machine bed. So for example, my frame marks might want to start at 100, and they might want to go as far as 1500, and now you will see we've got our frame mark which starts at 100 and goes to 1500, and still has obviously the 50 mil offsets we set from before. So there we go, many options for frame marks which you can explore, and that should enable you to more accurately frame your material when you're using manual framing. Thank you very much.